anymore. I mean, back in the day, dude, I don't remember how many live recording CDs I had of Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Metallica. It was like a huge thing to have the live recordings. Like you listen to that, just like you would a normal album, where it's like with metal and deathcore and stuff like that, like it's not as prominent as much. And I think maybe something like that to give a new element. But in terms of, getting as far away from AI as possible, I mean, it can very much be kind of like a war sense of like, we are not robots, and, and not using an AI to do your mixing and mastering and your, which is, I mean, I noticed that with auto-tune way back in the day. I'm like, oh shit, this is basically like an AI. And then you started having these analyzers to do your mix for you. And I was totally, guilty of that in 2008. To like, you hit a button, it's going to do a full mix and my master is going to sound like this. I'm like, who wants to record with me? $200 a song. Like, I can make some money off this thing. And and that was when it was new. But now that it's becoming so blatantly obvious, and when you can type into an AI generator to create a song and it sounds pretty much close to like an actual person made it, and you're having copyright issues, as humans, we're going to probably want to get as far away from that as possible. Same thing with special effects in movies. CGI has gotten so relentless now where it's like, I was just watching Independence Day the other day and I'm like, it didn't look that great, but I just feel like it had more of a feeling to it. Like I love seeing
it. Personality. Yeah.
There's just a grade to it that's different than just everything polished. There is a study, or there was an old YouTube video, I don't know if it's out anymore, where a guy hooked up a seismograph to a Justin Bieber album and a Beatles album. And it showed like the Beatles album going all over the place, and the Justin Bieber album was like big waves only in one straight line. So the dynamic range was completely different. And they correlated that with our brain and how our brain remembers things. When something is just very loud, but a single frequency, it's blatant, but it's not connecting into like the deeper, parts of our brain. Versus when you hear, some of the older music in the 60s and 70s, where like a bass will be over here, a guitar's over here, there's a vocal part here, there's that over here. The blend together of that old school mixing made something that actually stuck more. Which can be an interesting topic on its own, but.
Yeah, well, this is just, it really comes down to feeling, right? Like songs having soul, right? And that's with or without AI, right? I think we'd all agree here that like in the past, 15 years, like music we've alluded to it a few times already, but like, gone to the grid and like, all these things that kind of take out all the same tones, all the same, the AI mastering and all these things that kind of make everything sound samey, and you lose the imperfections, you lose music kind of feeling like alive, like I don't know, and I don't feel like it's kind of weird because I feel like some of what we love from like the old like the MySpace days, it's not like none of that was a decision. It was just by way of what was available to 16-year-old kids doing their first recordings, right? And we just happen there's like something to that sound like that we connect with, right? It wasn't a thought out thing. It wasn't like anything, so I don't know. I think there's something to that, and it's cool. It's cool when we see like, again, like there's like this like resurgence of this like MySpace sound right now. And that's the stuff that we're excited about mostly these days, just because it sounds like kids who like don't give a fuck, who are just like being kids and like recording however the fuck they want to record and not really thinking too much about influences and this and that. And they just like fuck with these few albums. And that's the stuff that comes out of them. And that to me is like by far more interesting than, a lot of the stuff that's like super highly produced that like technically, objectively speaking, like sounds fucking great and has a big budget and all these things. But,
there's less character.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everything now, it really is. I mean, this is probably the reason why everything is why it is. It's all industry standard, if you want to put out an album, your label or whoever manages you or even yourself, you're not going to put it out if it has that sound from 10 years ago, because this isn't what's happening right now. We need to make sure it's this way. We need to make sure it has to sound polished, and back in the day with MySpace, I mean, you got stoked about views. Obviously it's like you're happy when you start getting them, but I don't think you posted something with the expectation of having as many. It was like, I have to hit this much. I have this number. I have to keep hitting that number. And I think that's where content is getting so bland, because it's all about you know, it's all about the numbers, really. It's everything's become such a business mindset. We've lost like the just originality of just being fun.
Yeah.
You know,
If
MySpace
your new
either.
song doesn't have like the same or more views than the last one, then it's a failure. You know,
You'll delete
that's
it.
how we, yeah, that's how we think about it. It's so fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, and that's where you lose originality. You know, but